Shock Monkey Radio is created by adults for entertainment purposes. The views and opinions expressed here do not reflect the sponsors or FXPG Public Radio. For additional information, refer to the U.S. Bill of Rights. Stand warned. Dude, I want to talk about some English phrases because I heard some people use some words lately, and I was like, oh yeah, I kind of wanted to tell them where these words and phrases come from, because I find it interesting. I find, like, where English phrases come from is interesting. So I want to talk about one of the words I heard this week that I wanted to talk about, and that's druthers. Have you ever heard druthers, the word druthers? I probably talked about these things before, but someone said if I had my druthers, I'd do this or I'd do that. And that's what druthers means. It means I'd rather. It's I think it was coined by Mark Twain. I'm not sure. And it's based upon a Southern expression. It was like, hey, you want to go to this Grateful Dead concert with me? And it's like, I'd rather eat cat shit with a knitting needle than go to Grateful Dead concert with you. Sorry, Deadheads. I'm making fun of some people I know. But what I'm saying is that, it means I would rather, So if I had my druthers, if I'd had my I'd rathers, I'd rather eat cat shit with a knitting needle, son, than go to a Grateful Dead concert with you. You ever seen that movie, Dead Presidents? God, that dude, he does his voice a lot on Rick and Morty now, but he was in that movie. He had a great line in that movie that I loved. It was like, I'd rather eat cat shit with a knitting needle than bust my ass sending some cops' kids to college. And I was like, that's a great line. I forget his name. He's a very prolific actor and voice actor as well. Forget his name. Dead President's great flick. Anyway, so that's where druthers comes from. It's an old Southern term coined in the late 19th century. Here's an interesting word, Cockthroppled. What's funny is that, to this day, I will, when I type that word in, the little red squiggly line comes in, and word is like, that's not a real word. That's got to be something dirty, And I remember that happened when I wrote my very first book, very first Exit 13 book, because I used the word cockthroppled to describe a teenager in one of my stories. And cockthroppled simply means like a very prominent Adam's apple kind of person. And what it really represents is once like a teenage boy really sprouts and he becomes real long and lean, and he's got his Adam's apple sticking out, and his voice is changing a little bit, he talks like Shaggy or something like that, and he's got this big Adam's apple. That's cockthroppled. That's what that means. It's like an instant descriptor, it paints a picture of what the person looks like. And so, but the very first time I typed it in, I do the spell check on my book, and it's like cockthroppled. That's not a real word. That sounds dirty, bro. So I said, trust me, it's a word. I found it in the dictionary. It's a word. You remember dictionaries? They're books that actually, don't get changed every week. And so, yeah, that's where cockthroppled comes from. I know it sounds dirty, but hey, there's lots of dirty sounding words that people use every day. So. Speaking of, how about blowing smoke up your ass? I think I've mentioned this. I know I've mentioned this on the show before, but blowing smoke up your ass comes from the time before like real science, when people would consult your humors. And it's like, what's your sign? Oh, you're drowning. Are you a Taurus? Are you a Taurus? You're an Aries. Aries. We got an Aries who's drowning, so there's a specific treatment for that. But usually this prescribed treatment for drowning was to pull the person out of the water and then blow smoke up their ass. Seriously. So you pull somebody out of the water. It's like, I need a long tube to shove in this man's butt and a cigar. And I'm going to start blowing smoke into his butt until he starts breathing. I will say something about the Greyjoys or the Iron Islands. You at least had a chance when it come to drowning, They would pull you out of the water and say, all right, air's here. They wouldn't just put you face down when you're drowning and start shoving stuff up your butt. So that's where blowing smoke up your ass comes from. There's one more word I heard last night, as a matter of fact, on Timcast IRL, and that's the word scuttlebutt. And it also sounds a little dirty, you know. Actually, when you consider what scuttle means. Scuttle means to put a hole in, you know, and you put a hole in the butt. Yes, that's exactly what scuttlebutt means. You put a hole in the butt. Now, if you've seen any like pirate movies or Navy movies or anything like that, the word scuttle means to put a hole in or to sink, you know, like a ship. We're going to scuttle the ship, or we've been scuttled, you know, we got a hole below the water line, we're going down, you know. It's that kind of thing. But yes, scuttlebutt sounds dirty. It means to put a hole in the butt, but you also got to understand that the word butt also means something different. Butt means a barrel, like what you see in movies. It's like there's always a bunch of barrels. Some barrels have water in it, some have food in it, etc. This barrel has flour. This one has gold dust or something, you know. So that's what butts were. And so when you scuttle the butt, that means that you put a hole in it, and you usually put like a hole in a water barrel, and then you plug it up and people come by and get water. And it was basically the watering hole on any ship. So anyone would come by and they're like, here's their butt. We already scuttled it. This is the scuttlebutt area. And so you just pull the little cork out and you get your little water ration, and everyone sits around, they get their water and they talk. It's the water cooler of the Navy. And so scuttlebutt now refers to rumors, the rumor mill, you know, scuttlebutt. That's where that comes from. There's something else in like the Army and the Marine Corps, because they don't, there's something else they call it, like Johnny Rumor or something like that, private rumor. I don't know. It's dumber. It's dumbed down. Marine Corps and Army. Sorry, vets. I know you want to kick my ass, but you know, a lot of people tried. A lot of people succeeded.